In the early months of 1942, the city of Warsaw, once a thriving hub of culture and commerce, was shrouded in the oppressive atmosphere of German occupation. The vibrant streets, where laughter and music once filled the air, were now dominated by the ominous presence of Nazi patrols, their heavy boots echoing against the cobblestones. The city, which had witnessed centuries of resilience and cultural evolution, was now a canvas of despair, yet it was also a breeding ground for a new form of defiance that would soon emerge from the shadows. Amidst the despair, a subtle yet powerful form of resistance began to take shape. The walls of Warsaw, once blank and unassuming, became a medium for expression, a silent protest against the tyranny that sought to erase the spirit of the Polish people. Graffiti, often dismissed as mere vandalism, became a tool of resistance, crafted by the hands of brave young men and women who refused to succumb to oppression. Among these groups was the Wawer group, named after a tragic massacre in the suburb of Wawer in December 1939, which had claimed the lives of innocent Poles. This group, comprised of spirited youth, sought to reclaim their city and their identity through bold strokes of paint and defiant slogans. The Wawer group, along with other factions of the Polish resistance, began to inscribe the Kotwica symbol, a stylized anchor, onto the walls of Warsaw. This emblem represented hope, resilience, and the unwavering spirit of a nation determined to resist. Alongside the Kotwica, anti-Nazi slogans began to appear, challenging the authority of the occupiers and igniting a flicker of hope among the oppressed populace. Each piece of graffiti was not merely a mark on the wall, it was a declaration of existence, a reminder that the spirit of Poland had not been extinguished. Initially, the Gestapo, the secret police of Nazi Germany, dismissed these acts of defiance as trivial vandalism. To them, the graffiti was a reflection of a defeated populace, a mere nuisance that could be easily scrubbed away. Their arrogance blinded them to the deeper significance of these markings. They believed their control over Warsaw was absolute, their dominance unchallenged. Yet, beneath this facade of confidence, the seeds of resistance were being sown, and the graffiti began to capture the attention of the citizens of Warsaw. For many, the sight of the Kotwica symbol became a beacon of hope, a silent reminder that they were not alone in their struggle. It resonated deeply with a populace yearning for liberation, serving as a lifeline in a time of despair. The Gestapo's dismissal of the graffiti as mere vandalism was a grave miscalculation, for it underestimated the power of symbols in a time of oppression. The walls of Warsaw became a battleground of ideas, where the simple act of painting could inspire courage and solidarity among the people. When the graffiti spread, so too did its impact. The streets of Warsaw, once silent under the weight of occupation, began to hum with the whispers of rebellion. The Gestapo, in their arrogance, failed to recognize the deeper significance of these colorful markings. They saw only defacement, not the defiance that lay beneath. This oversight would prove costly, as the graffiti began to galvanize the Polish resistance, igniting a flame that would burn brightly in the hearts of the oppressed. The initial response of derision from the Gestapo was rooted in a fundamental misunderstanding of the power of symbols. In their eyes, the graffiti was an affront to their authority, a nuisance that could be easily eradicated. Yet, for the people of Warsaw, it was a lifeline, a reminder that they were not alone in their struggle. The Gestapo's failure to grasp this reality would soon come to haunt them. As the graffiti continued to spread, its message of resistance growing louder with each stroke of the brush. In the early days of 1942, the streets of Warsaw were alive with the whispers of rebellion. The graffiti, dismissed by the Gestapo as mere vandalism, was in fact the first salvo in a war of ideas. It was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a declaration that Poland's fight for freedom was far from over. When the walls of Warsaw continued to bear witness to this silent defiance, the resistance prepared for a confrontation that would challenge the very foundations of German control. To fully understand the significance of the graffiti in Warsaw, it is essential to consider the historical context of Poland during World War II. Following the invasion of Poland in September 1939, the country was plunged into chaos. The swift and brutal campaign by Nazi Germany, followed by the Soviet invasion from the east, resulted in the partitioning of Poland and the establishment of a brutal occupation regime. Warsaw, as the capital, became a focal point of this oppression, with its Jewish population facing particularly horrific conditions. By 1942, the situation in Warsaw had deteriorated significantly. The city was under constant surveillance, with the Gestapo employing a network of informants and collaborators to root out any signs of dissent. The atmosphere was one of fear and repression, as the occupiers sought to crush any semblance of resistance. Yet, amidst this climate of terror, the Polish underground movement began to take shape, fueled by a deep-seated desire for freedom and justice. The Wawer group, like many other factions of the Polish resistance, operated in secrecy. They were part of a larger network that included the Home Army, Armia Krajowa, which was the primary military force of the Polish underground. The Home Army was dedicated to resisting the German occupation and preparing for the eventual liberation of Poland. This organization was composed of various groups, including former soldiers, students, and ordinary citizens, all united by a common goal: to reclaim their homeland. The logistics of resistance were complex and fraught with danger. The Wawer group, operating in a city under constant surveillance, faced immense risks in their efforts to spread messages of defiance. The Gestapo maintained a vigilant presence in Warsaw, and the threat of arrest, torture, or execution loomed large over the young resistance fighters. Yet, despite the dangers, they persisted, driven by a sense of duty to their country and their fellow citizens. The graffiti became a vital means of communication within the underground movement. Each act of defiance was carefully planned, executed under the cover of darkness, and often involved a network of supporters who provided assistance and safe houses. The messages painted on the walls served not only as a rallying cry for the resistance but also as a means of fostering solidarity among the Polish people. In a city fractured by war, the graffiti offered a sense of unity, a reminder that Poland's fight for freedom was a collective endeavor. The effect of the graffiti extended far beyond the walls it adorned. It became a symbol of hope and resilience, resonating deeply with the citizens of Warsaw. The slogans and symbols painted on the walls spoke to the shared struggles and aspirations of a people yearning for liberation. The Kotwica symbol, in particular, became a powerful emblem of resistance, representing the unwavering spirit of the Polish nation in the face of overwhelming odds. As 1942 drew to a close, the Polish underground movement began to gain momentum. The Wawer group, inspired by the growing strength of their compatriots, intensified their efforts to spread messages of defiance through graffiti. This was not merely an act of rebellion, it was a calculated strategy to undermine the occupiers' authority and bolster the morale of the Polish people. The motivations behind their actions were deeply rooted in a desire for freedom and justice, driven by the horrors they had witnessed and the loss of their loved ones. The graffiti painted by the Wawer group and others became a lifeline for the people of Warsaw. It served as a reminder that they were not alone in their struggle, that there were those who dared to resist, even in the face of overwhelming odds. The messages of hope and defiance spread, igniting a sense of shared purpose among the citizens of Warsaw. During the underground movement continued to grow, the graffiti became an integral part of their strategy, a testament to the power of collective action in the fight against oppression. In summary, the graffiti that adorned the walls of Warsaw in 1942 was not merely an act of vandalism, it was a powerful expression of resistance, a symbol of hope in a time of despair. The Wawer group and other factions of the Polish resistance utilized this medium to communicate their defiance and inspire their fellow citizens. By the time the year progressed, the effect of the graffiti would only continue to grow, setting the stage for a confrontation that would challenge the very foundations of German control over the city. By mid-1943, the graffiti that adorned the walls of Warsaw had become impossible for the Gestapo to ignore. What had once been dismissed as mere vandalism now posed a significant challenge to their authority. The volume of graffiti had increased dramatically, with the Kotwica symbol and anti-Nazi slogans appearing in every corner of the city. The Gestapo, recognizing the growing threat, began to take notice, yet their initial response remained one of ridicule. The Gestapo launched investigations, determined to track down the culprits responsible for the graffiti. However, their efforts were hampered by the underground's secrecy and the community's unwavering support for the resistance. The Wawer group, operating under the cover of darkness, employed a variety of tactics to evade capture. They changed locations frequently, used coded messages, and relied on a network of safe houses to remain one step ahead of their pursuers. The tension between the occupiers and the occupied was palpable. The Gestapo, accustomed to wielding power through fear and intimidation, found themselves increasingly frustrated by their inability to quash the resistance. The graffiti, once dismissed as a nuisance, began to provoke unease among the German authorities. It was a constant reminder of their failure to fully control the city, a symbol of defiance that refused to be silenced. The psychological warfare at play was evident in the Gestapo's response. They intensified their patrols, increased surveillance, and implemented harsher penalties for those caught defacing public property. Yet, despite these measures, the graffiti continued to appear, its message of resistance growing louder with each passing day. The Gestapo's attempts to suppress the graffiti only served to strengthen the resolve of the Wawer group and the wider resistance movement. The confrontation between the Gestapo and the resistance was not merely a battle for control of the city's walls, but a struggle for the hearts and minds of its people. The graffiti, once dismissed as trivial, had become a powerful tool of psychological warfare, challenging the occupiers' narrative and inspiring acts of defiance among the Polish populace. The Gestapo's underestimation of the graffiti's power was a significant miscalculation, one that would have far-reaching consequences. As the year progressed, the Gestapo's frustration grew. Reports from German intelligence began to indicate that the graffiti had transcended its original intent, becoming a rallying emblem for the Home Army and the wider resistance movement. The slogans inspired acts of defiance and solidarity among the Polish populace, fostering a sense of national identity and courage. The Gestapo's failure to recognize the significance of the graffiti had allowed it to flourish, transforming it into a potent symbol of resistance. The confrontation between the Gestapo and the resistance reached a critical juncture in 1943. The graffiti, once mocked and dismissed, had become a formidable weapon in the fight against oppression. The resistance prepared for a broader conflict, as they escalated their efforts and challenged the German occupation in new and daring ways. The graffiti, a testament to the resilience of the Polish people, had become a rallying cry for freedom, uniting the city in its darkest hour. As the Gestapo intensified their crackdown, they resorted to increasingly brutal tactics. Arrests of suspected resistance members surged, and public executions became a grim spectacle intended to instill fear. Yet, rather than quelling the spirit of defiance, these actions only fueled the resolve of the underground movement. The graffiti continued to proliferate, often appearing in the aftermath of Gestapo raids, a bold statement that the spirit of resistance could not be extinguished. The psychological impact of the graffiti on the Polish populace was profound. For many, seeing the Kotwica symbol or reading slogans like Polska Walczarka, fighting Poland, became a source of inspiration. It was a reminder that they were not alone in their struggle, that there were others who shared their desire for freedom. The graffiti served as a unifying force, bridging divides among different social classes and backgrounds, as people from all walks of life began to rally around the symbols of resistance. The Wawer group, aware of the growing significance of their actions, sought to expand their reach. They began to collaborate with other resistance factions, sharing resources and strategies. The graffiti became a coordinated effort, with different groups contributing to the campaign of defiance. This collaboration not only increased the volume of graffiti but also diversified the messages being spread, making it harder for the Gestapo to suppress the movement. As the summer of 1943 approached, the atmosphere in Warsaw became charged with anticipation. The graffiti, once a mere annoyance to the occupiers, had evolved into a full-fledged movement. The Gestapo's attempts to control the narrative were failing, as the very walls of the city began to tell a different story, one of resilience, courage, and an unwavering desire for freedom. In response to the escalating situation, the Gestapo began to employ more sophisticated methods of surveillance. They deployed informants within the community, seeking to root out the members of the Wawer group and other resistance factions. However, the solidarity among the Polish people proved to be a formidable barrier. Many citizens were willing to risk their own safety to protect the resistance fighters, creating an environment where trust and loyalty flourished. The graffiti's impact extended beyond the immediate context of Warsaw. News of the resistance spread to other occupied territories, inspiring similar movements across Poland and beyond. The symbolism of the Kotwica and the messages of defiance resonated with those living under Nazi oppression, sparking a wave of graffiti and acts of resistance in other cities. In time, the Gestapo faced a growing network of defiance that threatened to undermine their authority across the region. As the year wore on, the Gestapo's frustration reached a boiling point. They began to implement collective punishments, targeting entire neighborhoods suspected of harboring resistance members. These brutal reprisals, however, only served to galvanize the community further. The graffiti became a form of protest against the injustices being inflicted upon them, a way for the people to reclaim their agency in the face of overwhelming oppression. The confrontation between the Gestapo and the resistance had transformed into a battle of wills. The graffiti, once seen as a trivial act of rebellion, had become a powerful symbol of the Polish people's determination to resist. The Gestapo's failure to recognize the significance of these markings would ultimately prove to be their undoing, as the resistance continued to grow in strength and resolve. As 1943 drew to a close, the resistance prepared for a dramatic escalation in the conflict. The graffiti, with its messages of hope and defiance, had become a rallying cry for the Polish people, uniting them in their shared struggle against oppression. The Gestapo's attempts to suppress the resistance had only fueled its growth, and the time for a decisive confrontation was fast approaching. The walls of Warsaw, once mere structures, had become a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a canvas for Poland's fight for freedom that would soon erupt into a full-scale uprising. As the harsh winter of 1944 gave way to the tentative warmth of spring, Warsaw's streets bore witness to a transformation that had been quietly brewing beneath the surface. The once dismissed graffiti, with its bold strokes and clandestine messages, had become more than just a rebellious act of defiance. It was now a beacon of hope, a rallying cry that resonated deeply within the hearts of the Polish people. The Gestapo, once indifferent to these seemingly inconsequential acts of vandalism, found themselves facing an unforeseen challenge. The graffiti had become a symbol of unity and resistance, a testament to the indomitable spirit of a nation under siege. Reports from German intelligence began to paint a picture of a city that was far from subdued. The Kotwica, the emblem of the Polish resistance, appeared with increasing frequency, its presence a silent yet powerful reminder of the Home Army's growing influence. The Gestapo, in their arrogance, had underestimated the power of these symbols, failing to grasp the depth of their impact on the populace. The graffiti had transcended its original intent, evolving into a potent emblem of defiance that inspired acts of courage and solidarity among Warsaw's citizens. In time, the streets of Warsaw served as a battleground for the hearts and minds of its inhabitants. The slogans, meticulously painted under the cover of darkness, spoke to the shared struggles and aspirations of a people yearning for freedom. Polska Walczarka, fighting Poland, became a mantra, a declaration of resilience that echoed through the city's alleyways and courtyards. The Gestapo's attempts to suppress these messages only fueled their proliferation, as the underground movement found new and inventive ways to spread their call to arms. As the summer of 1944 approached, the Gestapo's unease grew. The graffiti, once a source of ridicule, had become a thorn in their side, a constant reminder of their inability to quell the spirit of resistance. The Home Army, emboldened by the support of the populace, began to prepare for a bold and audacious move, the Warsaw Uprising. The graffiti, with its messages of hope and defiance, played a crucial role in galvanizing the resistance, uniting civilians and fighters alike in their shared struggle against oppression. The Gestapo's miscalculation in dismissing the power of the graffiti had far-reaching consequences. As the resistance gained momentum, the symbols of defiance that adorned Warsaw's walls became a rallying point for the Home Army, inspiring acts of bravery and sacrifice that would soon culminate in one of the most significant uprisings of the Second World War. The graffiti, once mocked and derided, had become a powerful catalyst for change, igniting a fire that would burn brightly in the hearts of the Polish people. In the days leading up to the uprising, the atmosphere in Warsaw was electric with anticipation. The graffiti served as a constant reminder of the resistance's resolve, urging citizens to take action. The streets buzzed with whispered conversations about the impending revolt, as people prepared to rise against their oppressors. The Kotwica symbol, once a mere mark on the wall, had transformed into a rallying cry that united the city in its darkest hour. On August 1, 1944, as the clock struck 5 p.m., the streets of Warsaw erupted into chaos. The Warsaw Uprising had begun, a bold and desperate attempt by the Home Army to liberate the city from German occupation. The graffiti, with its messages of defiance and hope, had played a pivotal role in galvanizing the resistance, emboldening civilians and fighters alike to take a stand against their oppressors. The uprising, while ultimately met with brutal retaliation, showcased the profound impact of the Wawer youth group's efforts, as the once derided graffiti became a powerful symbol of resistance, uniting the city in its darkest hour. The initial days of the uprising were marked by fierce fighting, as the Home Army, armed with limited resources and makeshift weapons, engaged in a desperate struggle against the well-equipped German forces. The graffiti, with its bold proclamations of Bog, honor, Ojczyzna, God, honor, fatherland, served as a rallying cry for the resistance, inspiring acts of courage and sacrifice that would become the stuff of legend. The city, once a canvas for the Wawer youth group's daring exploits, had transformed into a battleground, as the Polish people fought valiantly to reclaim their freedom. As the uprising raged on, the Gestapo's initial indifference to the graffiti gave way to a growing sense of alarm. The symbols of defiance that adorned Warsaw's walls had become a powerful catalyst for change, igniting a fire that burned brightly in the hearts of the Polish people. The Gestapo, in their arrogance, had underestimated the power of these symbols, failing to grasp the depth of their impact on the populace. The graffiti, once dismissed as mere vandalism, had become a potent emblem of resistance, inspiring acts of bravery and solidarity that would resonate for generations to come. The uprising, while ultimately unsuccessful, left an indelible mark on the collective memory of the Polish people. The graffiti, with its messages of hope and defiance, had played a crucial role in galvanizing the resistance, uniting civilians and fighters alike in their shared struggle against oppression. The once derided symbols of defiance had become a powerful catalyst for change, igniting a fire that would burn brightly in the hearts of the Polish people for years to come. In the aftermath of the uprising, the city lay in ruins, a testament to the brutal retaliation meted out by the German forces. Yet, amidst the rubble and devastation, the spirit of resistance endured. The graffiti, with its messages of hope and defiance, had left an indelible mark on the collective memory of the Polish people, symbolizing their fight against tyranny and their quest for freedom. The actions of the Wawer youth group, once dismissed as mere acts of vandalism, had inspired future generations to remember the importance of standing up against oppression. During the war drew to a close, the enduring legacy of the graffiti and the Wawer youth group began to take shape. The symbols of defiance that had adorned Warsaw's walls became a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. The graffiti, once a clandestine act of rebellion, had transformed into a historical artifact, representing not just acts of defiance, but the enduring strength and courage of a nation determined to reclaim its freedom. In the years that followed, the graffiti became a symbol of national pride and resilience, inspiring future movements for justice and democracy in Poland and beyond. The Kotwica, once a secret emblem of the resistance, became an enduring reminder of the power of collective action and the importance of preserving freedom. The enduring legacy of the Wawer youth group, immortalized in Polish history, served as a testament to the courage and determination of those who risked their lives to resist the Nazi regime. The graffiti, with its messages of hope and defiance, had transcended its original intent, becoming a powerful symbol of resistance that resonated deeply within the hearts of the Polish people. The once derided symbols of defiance had become a powerful catalyst for change, igniting a fire that would burn brightly in the hearts of the Polish people for generations to come. As the uprising unfolded, the moral dilemmas faced by the resistance fighters became increasingly pronounced. The decision to rise against the German occupiers was not taken lightly. It was fraught with the knowledge that the consequences could be devastating. Many within the ranks of the Home Army were acutely aware of the potential for brutal reprisals, yet the desire for liberation outweighed the fear of retribution. The graffiti that had once been a whisper of defiance now roared through the streets, urging the people to rise, to fight, and to reclaim their dignity. The Gestapo's initial indifference to the graffiti gave way to a growing sense of alarm. The symbols of defiance that adorned Warsaw's walls had become a powerful catalyst for change, igniting a fire that burned brightly in the hearts of the Polish people. The Gestapo, in their arrogance, had underestimated the power of these symbols, failing to grasp the depth of their impact on the populace. The graffiti, once dismissed as mere vandalism, had become a potent emblem of resistance, inspiring acts of bravery and solidarity that would resonate for generations to come. As the uprising raged on, the consequences of the resistance's actions became painfully clear. The German forces, determined to crush the rebellion, unleashed a brutal campaign of violence against the civilian population. The streets of Warsaw, once alive with the spirit of resistance, were soon filled with the sounds of gunfire and the cries of the wounded. The Gestapo, fueled by rage and desperation, began to systematically target those suspected of supporting the uprising. Families were torn apart, neighbors turned against one another, and the once vibrant city was reduced to a landscape of despair. In the face of such brutality, the moral dilemmas faced by the resistance fighters deepened. Many grappled with the question of whether their actions were justified, whether the cost of liberation was worth the suffering inflicted upon their fellow citizens. Yet, amid the chaos, the graffiti continued to serve as a source of inspiration. The messages of hope and defiance painted on the walls of Warsaw became a lifeline for those fighting to reclaim their city. Each stroke of the brush was a reminder that they were not alone, that their struggle was part of a larger fight for freedom. As the weeks wore on, the uprising faced insurmountable odds. The German forces, bolstered by reinforcements and heavy artillery, began to systematically dismantle the resistance. The once hopeful cries of Polska Walczarka echoed through the streets, but the reality of the situation became increasingly grim. The graffiti, which had formerly inspired courage, served as a bittersweet reminder of the sacrifices made by those who had dared to dream of freedom. The turning point of the uprising came in late August, as the resistance found itself cornered and outmatched. The brutal tactics employed by the German forces, including mass executions and the destruction of entire neighborhoods, left a profound impact on the psyche of the Polish people. The moral dilemmas faced by the resistance fighters reached a fever pitch as they witnessed the suffering of their fellow citizens. The question of whether to continue the fight or to seek a negotiated peace weighed heavily on their hearts. Ultimately, the decision to persevere in the face of overwhelming odds was rooted in a deep sense of duty to their homeland. The graffiti that adorned the walls of Warsaw had become a testament to their resilience, a reminder that Poland's fight for freedom was worth every sacrifice. The Home Army, despite the mounting casualties and the devastation wrought upon the city, remained committed to their cause. The uprising, though ultimately unsuccessful, would leave an indelible mark on the collective memory of the Polish people. As the uprising drew to a close in October 1944, the consequences of the resistance's actions were laid bare. The city lay in ruins, a testament to the brutal retaliation meted out by the German forces. Yet, amidst the rubble and devastation, the spirit of resistance endured. The graffiti, with its messages of hope and defiance, had left an indelible mark on the collective memory of the Polish people, symbolizing their fight against tyranny and their quest for freedom. The actions of the Wawer youth group, once dismissed as mere acts of vandalism, had inspired future generations to remember the importance of standing up against oppression. The uprising, while ultimately met with brutal retaliation, showcased the profound impact of the Wawer youth group's efforts, as the once derided graffiti became a powerful symbol of resistance, uniting the city in its darkest hour. The enduring legacy of the uprising would serve as a reminder of the sacrifices made by those who fought for freedom and the enduring power of collective action in the face of tyranny. In the aftermath of the Warsaw Uprising, the city lay in ruins, a haunting reminder of the brutal conflict that had unfolded. The once vibrant streets, filled with the echoes of defiance, were now silent, save for the distant sounds of destruction and despair. The German forces, having crushed the uprising with overwhelming force, turned their attention to the task of erasing the very spirit of resistance that had animated the Polish people. Yet, even in the face of such devastation, the enduring legacy of the graffiti and the Wawer youth group began to take shape, transforming from acts of rebellion into symbols of resilience. As the dust settled and the reality of the devastation became apparent, the Polish people were left to grapple with the consequences of their struggle. The loss of life was staggering, with thousands of civilians and resistance fighters perishing in the fighting. Families were torn apart, neighborhoods obliterated, and the scars of war etched deeply into the fabric of the city. Yet, amid the rubble, the spirit of resistance endured, fueled by the messages of hope and defiance that had adorned the walls of Warsaw. The graffiti, once a clandestine act of rebellion, had transformed into a historical artifact, representing not just acts of defiance, but the enduring strength and courage of a nation determined to reclaim its freedom. The symbols of resistance that had once been dismissed as mere vandalism now served as a powerful reminder of the sacrifices made by those who had fought for their homeland. The Kotwica, once a secret emblem of the resistance, became an enduring symbol of national pride, inspiring future movements for justice and democracy. As Poland began the arduous process of rebuilding, the enduring legacy of the graffiti and the Wawer youth group continued to resonate. Memorials and educational programs emerged to honor those who had risked their lives to resist the Nazi regime, ensuring that their stories would not be forgotten. The messages of hope and defiance that had once inspired the uprising now served as a rallying cry for future generations, reminding them of the importance of standing up against oppression. The transformation of the graffiti from acts of rebellion into symbols of resilience was not without its challenges. In the immediate aftermath of the uprising, the German authorities sought to erase any trace of the resistance, scrubbing the walls clean of the graffiti that had once inspired hope. Yet, the spirit of defiance could not be so easily extinguished. As the Polish people began to rebuild their lives, they carried with them the memory of the graffiti, a testament to their struggle and a reminder of the power of collective action. As Poland rebuilt itself from the ashes of war, the enduring legacy of the graffiti and the Wawer youth group continued to inspire future movements for justice and democracy. The symbols of defiance that had adorned Warsaw's walls became a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. The graffiti, once a clandestine act of rebellion, had transformed into a historical artifact, representing not just acts of defiance, but the enduring strength and courage of a nation determined to reclaim its freedom. The account of the Graffiti and the Wawer youth group serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of standing up against oppression and the enduring power of collective action. The enduring legacy of the resistance, immortalized in Polish history, continues to inspire future generations to remember the importance of preserving freedom and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. The Graffiti, with its messages of hope and defiance, remains an enduring symbol of resistance, a testament to the courage and determination of those who risked their lives to fight for a better future. In the aftermath of the Warsaw Uprising and the transformation of the Graffiti into symbols of resilience underscore the profound impact of collective action in the face of tyranny. The enduring legacy of the Wawer youth group and their courageous acts of defiance continue to resonate, reminding us all of the power of hope and the importance of standing together against oppression. The Graffiti, once a whisper of rebellion, has become a powerful testament to the enduring spirit of the Polish people, a legacy that will inspire generations to come. In the years following the of World War II, Poland emerged from the ashes of conflict, grappling with the profound scars left by years of occupation and violence. The enduring legacy of the Graffiti and the Wawer youth group, once dismissed as mere acts of vandalism, became a cornerstone of Polish identity and resilience. As the nation sought to rebuild, the symbols of defiance that had adorned Warsaw's walls during the darkest days of occupation took on new significance, serving as potent reminders of the courage and determination of those who had fought for freedom. The Kotwica, the stylized anchor that had become synonymous with the Polish resistance, transformed from a clandestine emblem into a national symbol of hope and perseverance. In the immediate aftermath of the war, the Polish government, now under communist control, faced the challenge of reconciling the narrative of resistance with its own political agenda. While the new regime sought to suppress dissent and promote a singular vision of socialism, the enduring legacy of the resistance could not be easily erased. The stories of the Wawer youth group and their Graffiti became intertwined with the broader narrative of Polish nationalism, symbolizing a collective struggle against oppression that transcended political ideologies. In the years that followed, memorials and monuments dedicated to the resistance began to emerge throughout Poland. In Warsaw, the Museum of the Warsaw Uprising was established in 1983, serving as a vital institution for commemorating the events of 1944 and the sacrifices made by those who fought for freedom. The museum became a space for reflection and education, ensuring that the stories of the resistance fighters, including the young members of the Wawer group, would not be forgotten. Through exhibits, photographs, and personal testimonies, visitors could witness the indomitable spirit of the Polish people and the significance of the Graffiti that had once adorned their city. The effect of the Graffiti extended beyond the confines of Warsaw. Across Poland, educational programs were developed to teach future generations about the importance of resistance and the power of collective action. Schools incorporated lessons on the Wawer youth group and the broader resistance movement into their curricula, fostering a sense of pride and identity among young Poles. The Graffiti, once a symbol of rebellion against Nazi oppression, became a powerful tool for instilling values of courage, solidarity, and the importance of standing up against tyranny. As the years progressed, the enduring legacy of the Graffiti continued to inspire movements for justice and democracy. In the late 1980s, as Poland began to experience a wave of political change, the symbols of resistance that had once adorned the walls of Warsaw re-emerged as powerful rallying cries for a new generation. The Solidarity movement, led by figures such as Lech Wałęsa, drew upon the historical legacy of the resistance, invoking the spirit of the Wawer youth group and their defiant messages. The Graffiti, once a clandestine act of rebellion, became a source of inspiration for those fighting against the oppressive communist regime, reminding them of the enduring power of collective action. In 1989, as Poland transitioned to a democratic government, the enduring legacy of the Wawer youth group and their Graffiti took on new dimensions. The Kotwica, once a symbol of resistance against Nazi oppression, became a broader emblem of freedom and democracy. The Polish people, having endured decades of hardship and struggle, celebrated their newfound liberties, and the graffiti served as a reminder of the sacrifices made by those who had come before them. The spirit of the Wawer group lived on, inspiring citizens to remain vigilant in the protection of their rights and freedoms. The post-war period also saw a resurgence of interest in the history of the resistance. Scholars, historians, and artists began to explore the significance of the graffiti and the broader resistance movement, producing works that highlighted the courage and creativity of those who had fought against oppression. Documentaries, books, and films emerged, capturing the essence of the struggle and ensuring that the stories of the Wawer youth group and their fellow resistance fighters would be preserved for future generations. The graffiti, once dismissed as trivial, became a focal point for understanding the complexities of Polish identity and the enduring impact of resistance. As Poland entered the 21st century, the enduring legacy of the graffiti and the Wawer youth group continued to resonate. The Kotwica became a symbol not only of historical resistance but also of contemporary struggles for justice and human rights. Activists and artists drew upon the imagery and messages of the graffiti to advocate for various causes, from environmental justice to social equality. The spirit of defiance that had once inspired a generation of young Poles now served as a source of empowerment for those seeking to challenge the status quo in a rapidly changing world. Commemoration of the resistance also took on new forms in the digital age. Social media platforms became spaces for sharing stories, images, and messages of resistance, allowing individuals to connect with the enduring legacy of the Wawer youth group in innovative ways. Online campaigns and virtual memorials emerged, ensuring that the messages of hope and defiance continued to reach audiences far beyond the borders of Poland. In time, the graffiti had the potential to inspire a global movement for justice and freedom. In recent years, the Polish government has recognized the importance of preserving the enduring legacy of the resistance. Initiatives have been launched to restore and maintain sites associated with the Wawer youth group and the broader resistance movement. Efforts to digitize historical documents and artifacts have made it possible for individuals around the world to access and learn from the stories of those who fought for freedom. The graffiti, now viewed as a vital part of Poland's cultural heritage, has been celebrated in exhibitions and public art projects, ensuring that its messages continue to inspire future generations. The enduring legacy of the Wawer youth group and the graffiti serves as a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit in the face of oppression. It highlights the importance of standing up against tyranny and the enduring power of collective action. The graffiti, once dismissed as mere vandalism, has transformed into a symbol of hope, courage, and the unyielding desire for freedom. As Poland continues to navigate the complexities of its history and identity, the enduring legacy of the resistance remains a vital part of the national narrative, inspiring individuals to remember the sacrifices made by those who fought for a better future. In conclusion, the account of the graffiti and the Wawer youth group is not just a tale of rebellion, it is a testament to the enduring power of hope and the human spirit. As Poland reflects on its past and looks toward the future, the enduring legacy of the resistance serves as a guiding light, reminding all who encounter it of the importance of standing up for justice, freedom, and the dignity of every individual. The graffiti, with its messages of defiance, continues to resonate, inspiring new generations to carry the torch of resistance and to fight for a world where freedom and justice prevail.